thank you everyone, and thank you for coming to our real love and relationship story. I'm Eric Mulila.
Hello and welcome back and welcome. I'm Lizette Mulela. So we're here for real love and relationship. So on this platform, we share everything that's related to love, to relationship, for depending on the journey and the season you are in. So single, engaged, dating, and married couple. So we love to share love stories so that we can see how God can intervene in each and every couple. And your story today can help someone else, can help a couple, can help single, can help someone who's engaged. And we really believe that it's a great time. We're just gonna have a great conversation. Who do we have today, Jen?
Today we have Sam and Vivian, a very good couple, and they will have time to introduce themselves. So I'll give you the opportunity.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having us. I'm all excited.
Thank you.
My name is Vivian, and this is Samuel. But you can talk about yourself. We've been married for 7 years now. We have a little one and another little one. So we're just enjoying life and excited to be here and share and talk about whatever you guys have in mind for us to talk about. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Samuel, and I think she spoke for us actually. She's a very good spokesman. So, I'm Samuel, and we've been together. She said married 7 years, and been together for 10 plus.
Yeah.
Wow. 11?
Yeah.
That's really nice over there.
Yeah, we can call it a decade. So we've been together for a decade.
Yes.
But so I'm excited.
That's interesting. That lead me to the first question here for you. So can you tell us a little bit about your background, like how you guys met?
Do you want to start or do you?
So usually couples say we have different versions.
Yeah.
You have your own and you have different
Yeah.
I feel like you should start.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we met in college actually, and we actually met in freshman year, because in college there's usually like some sort of almost like a social gathering for all freshmen. And so that's when I first saw Vivian, and when I saw her, you're meeting everyone, so it wasn't anything as far as like, there's interest here, because everyone is still new, you're meeting everyone. So, and then after just a social gathering, I'll see her in the cafeteria. We had a cafeteria, so I'll see her just walk up and down in the cafeteria. And I'll say I was interested, because I know that, at least for her, when she walked, I think she just, in college, everyone is really trying to figure out who they are. Mm-hmm. It's like a new space.
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone's trying to fit in, figure out who they are, figure out a new environment, figure out this life. And I think for her, she just knew who she was. I think, many people could really tell that. So she just knew who she was, and that was really what was
impressed.
Yeah, that was why I was attracted actually. And so, freshman, I'll try a couple of times to have lunch, or even just dinner with her, but I know that she was too busy because she was in nursing. She was doing her nursing school. So I'll try many times to have lunch or dinner with her, and it just never worked out because she just came in, took her food, left. Whereas for me, I tend to just cook, take my time and cook. So and then also, it was also that moment too, because guys tend to talk, and you quickly find out that I wasn't the only one interested. There was a lot of people also interested in her. So she was actually very, it's not even popular. She wasn't trying to be popular, but a lot of people were interested in her, from like the guys who went football to soccer to track and field. So like,
just attractive.
and it
She
was
was just that used to me.
yeah,
That's why I always ask you.
yeah, and it wasn't like she was attractive, but I think she just knew who she was when everybody was trying to figure out themselves. Even though she was a freshman, but so you talk around. Oh, this track star is interested. This basketball star is interested. This footballer is interested. And after a while, I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care anymore. Like, it's too much. It's too much competition generally. So, but I'll still try over the years to at least just conversate or have lunch with her. But she was just always busy. So I think, sophomore, junior. I went to school for engineering. That became a little bit more intensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I really just focused on that. And I would see her once in a while, but I think at that time it was just more of like, I just had to really focus on school. And then I think, senior year, her ex also went to the school. And I know, and we would talk once in a while, but he always kind of talked about like, oh man, I really regret, like, just not pushing through with the relationship. And then he told me that, oh yeah, she's graduating about a semester before I will. And I think at that moment, at least for me, at that moment, there were many changes that I'd say had gone through per se, and one of the biggest things was more of, I made decisions based off of like, if I know I'm going to regret this, no matter how complicated or how scary the decision is, I have to make that decision because I don't want to look back and say, oh, I wish I did.
Right.
So, and that was really one of the things that really, like, that was the thing that really just, I'll say it's just God within, God within is just more of like, you should at least try, because if you don't, then this is something that you're going to regret genuinely. And so then I decided, okay, I'll try. And I asked her to go eat at the cafeteria, and then we sat down, and this time I just made sure I didn't take my time cooking because she was very quick. So sat down, and then we started just small talk, and then I just told her that, hey, I was, I'm interested in you. And then she said, oh yeah, no, that's cool, we can just be friends. Like, yeah. And so for me, she was that's cool, we can be friends. I'm like, no, this is not for friendship, this is for marriage, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then she just said, okay, that's fine, as God wills. And so for me, that was not a yes, but it wasn't a no.
Yeah.
And so from then, okay, that's good. Then let me just try and like get to know her a little bit more, And so, I don't know how much.
Yeah, no, I can go it.
That was interesting.
So we did meet freshman year and stuff, and when we met, and we've always talked about this, so I feel like we can just be kind of honest and stuff. But I wasn't interested. In him, I'm like, he's not my type. I want this kind of person, So I'm like, I'm not even thinking about you. I don't have time for you. So I was just doing school and just doing my thing. And he would try and reach out every holiday. He would do the happy Christmas, happy New Year's, or to try and keep some form of communication.
Yeah.
And then it went on like that for 3 years, I would say, or almost 4, I would say, actually, until when he did invite me out for lunch or something at the cafeteria. And then he said his question like, hey, I really want us to, be together. And I'm like, sure, like we can hang out and be friends. And then he was like, no, like I see you as my wife. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, as God will, because who am I to say yes or no? Like, I don't know you enough to say yes, and I don't know you enough to necessarily say no. But it was my nice way to be like, we'll just maybe see, What really took it to the next level for me was being on campus. They have like African night events and things like that. So my family came to one of the shows because I was performing in it. I like to dance, so I was dancing in it. And he helped my grandma cross the street. I don't know how it worked out, but she told me after the fact. And she goes, Vivian, this man is a really good man.
Wow.
He has a really good heart. I'm like, really? So that changed my entire perspective on him. So when we later met, I was like, if it wasn't my grandma, would you have still helped whoever crossed the road? And he said yes. And I believe that too, right?
Okay.
So his heart drew me to him. And that's kind of where we started our relationship. Like I saw his heart and his spirit, his soul. I always tell him I see his soul, you know, not just him as the outward person he is.
Yeah.
And that's just grown over the years. And yeah, that's kind of how we met.
It was planned.
Yeah.
And that's the question.
I knew Grandma was watching, so I'm like, Grandma, let me help you out so you can tell people that. I'm just kidding.
Thank you, Grandma.
I'm just kidding.
And you mentioned that you had like a African event at the campus. So does it mean that you both from same country or different country?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We're both Africans, but he's Nigerian and I'm Cameroonian.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Nice.
Yeah, we're next door.
Yeah.
He's next door.
We're next door, but
neighbors.
we're very different.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
My question is, during those 3 years, he mentioned a little bit like the ex, were you like in a relationship when you were not interested in
Yeah.
him? Or-
So in that time, people were trying to talk to me, and I would entertain it for a little bit, but my focus was like, I need to finish school. Like, there's no way I can date right now and be trying to complete nursing school. If you've been in nursing, you know it's tough. Like, you need to really, I don't know how people do it and still do all that, but that wasn't me. So I think it just worked out that I was in a place where I was ready to maybe entertain a relationship. And yeah, I would say it just kind of worked out.
So you see you like waited for the right time, because if you pushed like a little earlier, it could be a no, and then you may like just put it aside and go on your way, and maybe just God was just asking you to wait even without you knowing it. You just wait and hold it until she's ready. Yeah, that's interesting.
I think that is actually until she's ready, but I think if we're together earlier, I don't think it would have worked out. Because I think during those 4 years, I think you at least in engineering or in school, I learned very much a lot about myself, as far as just like what I wanted to, or who I wanted to become, and then also responsibilities as it comes to relationship. And then even when I approached her, it wasn't for the sake of, let's just date, because it was more of, there was a level of certainty, So I think if we're together, it would not have worked out, but it would have been because I was not matured to be able to be in a relationship truly. And I think, I think she's always been, matured, but you're right. Her focus was school. And for me, at least when we first met, it was just more just trying to fit in, trying to get to know people. So I don't think it would have worked out if we had started early, actually. So
see that.
Yeah, so from now then, and then you just say, let's see what God will do, and then you just like start seeing each other more. Like, what was the dating phase? How
was it like? So we actually dated for 4 years. 2 years like in the same space, and then 2 years long distance, because he started a master program and then I started my doctorate program. So we did long distance for the last couple of years. But dating initially was, I would say, different for us. And I always tell him, like, if we had to go back and we would dated, I don't know if we would still be together.
Why do you say that?
Because you know how you're supposed to chivalry and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Some people don't know how to do it. And because of, again, like the African way, like you just see your parents do one thing and you think that's kind of it.
Yes.
So there was a little bit of teaching with that and being patient with it. But I would say, dating was getting to know each other, our values, what we like, don't like, our goals, where we see ourselves in the future, what we need to fix kind of thing now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I would say dating, at least for me, it was different because she was the first person I've dated, genuinely. So I think many of the experiences as far as even just like going out to eat and the guy pays. I mean, I was in college and I was trying to save money. So I was like, okay, let's, so I mean, all of those experiences, it wasn't, it was just for lack of experience. And then, throughout the dating process, it was just more about really just understanding one another. I think, like she said, we were in the same space for a couple of years, and then we're doing long distance. And I think the long distance really helped us out because now we really had to really work on our communication, because the only way that you can really continue the relationship is, well, hey, how do I involve her in my life, and how does she involve me in her life, even though we're miles apart. And so many times it's just communication.
I think what helped too is that we knew our intentions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like I knew the goal was marriage, So I think that helped with how we did communicate and what we chose to resolve and handle things. It was like, this is a preparation for marriage, and I knew within 3 months that
was my question.
You read it, man. I was like, you looked at me, we skipped something.
So within 3 months, I knew, I loved him and I do want to be with him,
Nice.
And then instead, I was getting mad at him because I'm like, what about you? He's like, I'm not quite there yet. So I'm like, okay, let me take a back seat here and just chill. But I would say I knew kind of early on, just his heart, his spirit, it's priceless. So I knew early on.
Yeah, I would go back a little bit. You mentioned at the early stage, you were just like, oh, this is not my type. I don't want to date. Beside his heart, as you say, what made you change, or what did you see different, and he becomes your type?
I think it's something. So most of people ask that question, what makes you say that this is the man?
Yeah, that's
the question.
Sam is very selfless. He wears his heart on his sleeves. I think it goes back to the heart thing, he is present, he is engaged, he's helpful, he is a visionary, a leader, he has so many great qualities as a person, in addition to just who his spirit and soul is.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
How about you, Sam? How did you get and say? At first, you say, I don't want to date, I just want you for marriage. But how did you feel okay, I'm pretty sure I want Vivian?
I think it's at that moment too. I think, like I said, that when I said that God within, I guess people call it. Well, it's also Holy Spirit, but I think at that moment it was a genuine knowing that if I don't, she's going to be one of the ones that I know that I'm going to regret if I don't do anything. And genuinely, that was just, and also I could sense her, I could sense her grace, I could sense her power in the aspect of just who she is as well. I could sense who she is and who she was going to become as well. But the biggest thing was more of, I just knew that if I don't approach her, I know I'm going to regret this. And I think it will be one of those things that even when I'm 80 years old, it's going to be something that continues to just be, okay, I wish I'd approached that. But for her though, it was just, it was her grace, and she knew who she was. And I think at that moment when everybody was trying to fit in, she just knew who she was, and she wasn't really apologizing about who she was. You know, and that's powerful at that moment. And it's
Yes,
and
it is.
even to this day too, like as many times that she does ground me in the aspect of, okay, I think, you know, like I get the sense that we should focus on this or we should focus on that. So yeah, the biggest thing is regret for sure, and then grace, and then her power in the aspect of just who she was and who God has called her to become, you know, and then, you know, going into dating, I think then that's when you start to like get exposed to just more of who she is. So, I mean, I can talk more about, you know, the more dating and what I've learned, but yeah. But that to your question, what was the initial? It was just more of like grace, and I just knew I was going to regret it because I just felt that this was, I don't know, I just needed to just focus and pursue it. So.
Yeah, I think it's amazing when you can like see somebody's spirit.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like I'll be safe from
And like just their soul and who they are outside of the physical.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good. That's really good. Any like major challenge did you guys face while you were dating? I know you mentioned the distance, but like even like when you were together at the same place or at distance, what was the challenge that can be like,
I
how
think
this we over with
A couple of challenges that come to mind is how do we deal with opposite sex friends?
Okay.
You know, that was one thing.
Yeah.
Another thing is cultural differences. Like Yoruba people, they're very into like their culture, bowing down, kneeling down. To me, I say they dress.
You
They
anticipate
dress covered.
you anticipate my question.
Yeah, they dress like, to me, I mean, maybe just the ones I was exposed to, from like head to toe covered kind of thing, which is completely different from how I was, you know, not that we don't have respect, but we're not kneeling down and banging. So that was the thing, like, hey, I'm gonna do this to maybe your parents, but I'm not doing it to everybody else. Like, you're not gonna catch me doing that. He actually did.
Oh, okay.
When I would see him in the cafeteria, he would bend and greet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember that. I should remember that.
He did, yeah. So,
Oh,
so those are a couple of things that stick out to me as like challenges, dealing with opposite sex partners, like friends, and then the culture with Yoruba versus the Cameroon thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I'll say just more just expectations on a day-to-day basis. I know that like when we're dating and we were in school, I think I had an expectation that, okay, yeah, let's check in the morning and let's check in at night because we're all busy. But for her, it's like, no. And that doesn't make sense. Let's at least check in throughout.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So one was expectations as far as like, okay, well, how do we want to kind of, you know, like communicate or just check in or just even what we do, what we spend time. And then another thing too is that I think is also understanding everybody's strength. I think that was a big one. I tend to think more in the future and like as far as like, hey, I think we should focus on this right now because I know in the future this is what's going to be important to us. Whereas for her, she's more of like the day to day, you know, almost like almost like it's the same, you guys. It's the same
day to day.
And maybe that's a guy.
That's a guy thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I do remember at the time, like, just let me enjoy my day to day. She would just tell me that, like, let me enjoy my day to day. Like, the future will just handle itself. And yeah, so that was, you know, understanding everyone's strength. I think that's a big one. So like, when it comes to like big decisions per se, then now we just know, okay, Sam, you tend to like think in that light. You can handle that and just let me know what needs to happen, and then vice versa as well. You know, the day to day, and she's great at executing. So that was another thing that we had to
That's what I was gonna add. I was gonna say the day to day. So he's like, okay, think about it, right, in the future. But I'm like, okay, we need to do A, Y, and Z
to get there.
To get there, you know, like we need to be doing this, doing that. But if I wasn't like, we need to do this and this, like get there would never happen, right? So it's like, what are we doing every day waiting to get there.
That's a good point. That's definitely one part of it too. And I think, I see it as like, especially now that we're parents, almost like I can really see it in the aspect of really building a home for the child.
Yeah.
I think, if it was just me that was taking care of of our little one, I mean, I don't know if, it would be a home, but it would be more of like, almost just structure. Hey, let's focus on
this and this.
Yeah, like let's focus on the future. Let's focus on what skills we need to acquire for the future. Whereas for her, it's more like, let's cultivate. Like there's a whole nurturing.
Yes.
Exactly. I think that's where the whole nurturing
Let's have fun, like have fun while we're accomplishing things.
Yeah.
And he's more like, just do the work. I'm like, we can enjoy, also relax, accomplish things. We can do both,
so,
it's not a one or another in my book,
Yeah.
How to enjoy life while you're at it.
Yeah, I think those are the main challenges, and then the culture and
we want to hear a little bit more about the culture. Like
how
did you get to explain to her okay, this is how we do in my culture with Adam, and her coming okay, I'll do this just for your parents. How did you really talk about it?
Yeah. Okay, I guess I can go. So I think I think, the bowing down, I think that when I was, we had conversation as far as okay, what this meant in our culture and to her, how she saw it as. And so it was almost like I won't say compromise, but you don't want to force your partner into just taking on customs that may not, they may not feel comfortable with. So I think there was an aspect of, okay, well, what do you feel comfortable with? What don't you feel comfortable with? And so then we just kind of find a middle ground, a compromise. And then, I feel like you can speak.
Yeah, so with the culture piece, for me, it was understanding the why or the reason behind of it, in which you did explain kind of the reason. But for me, I didn't grow up in that way, so it didn't fit my being or who I was to be bowing down to everybody that I would meet. So I was like, the compromise would be I would do it for your parents because it's a way to show respect, and I understand that, but I do not see myself doing that to every auntie, uncle, whatever, because it means something different for me, the way I grew up. And he was okay with that. We had that conversation. It took some time, back and forth, but I think we came to that compromise of, that's fine, do it to the parents or just really close people. And that was it.
And I think another aspect of the culture that really was that kind of stood out was during parties, when we go to parties in the Yoruba culture, we tend to just we take food to go home, and in the Cameroonian culture, they usually don't. It's almost like they eat what they need to eat over there, and even then it's not just like small chop. They'll eat and then they'll go. And then just let me know if I can start or just start.
I think we were talking about the future. So how did you get there? Okay, I'm not gonna do this. I'll do this with the parent and not the whole. I know, especially in African family, we have this big family. We have aunties and uncles for both sides. So how was the conversation and how did you get to an agreement?
Yeah. To add to kind of what I said earlier, I think something that helped was that he was protecting me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because I think it would have been different if he was like, no, this is how we do it, and it's this way or no other way kind of thing, right? And if that was the case, I would have been gone, right? Because that's just not my personality, right? But he was protecting me in that scenario, and also with his parents to be like, she's willing to do, this, but if you don't see her doing it with other people, this is why. And I think because he protected me and his family trusted him. It was this positive trickle-down effect. But getting there was, the conversations with how I felt about the kneeling and bowing to everybody, and how it felt like it took some things away from me as a woman. That's hard to explain. Some would say I'm quote unquote a little feminist, but it just took some things away from me that didn't feel right. But because of the respect of, his parents, the culture, explaining that to him, he understood. It came to be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and to actually follow up on that, so I think there's an aspect like not culture is good, but not everything in culture is good, because I think like it's just, culture is good, not everything is good, and I think it's.
I like that.
Yeah, so and I think really the biggest thing is you do have to protect what's yours at the end of the day, but also those people who matter, you can communicate with them like this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. Luckily, I have parents too who trust or who tend to, just listen to what I have to say, and it's not like, okay, I can see where you're coming from, or tell me more. So, I think that's a big thing. Like, culture is good, but not everything is good. And I think it's to just understand what the implications of certain cultural traditions are. Like, they may be applicable then, maybe it's not today, So I think it's just kind of also hearing what she has to say. I think that was very good. Yeah, so I think,
So Sam, for you, do you think you didn't have that in your family? Like you have to have someone coming from your country, from your culture, you have to marry someone from your country. Did you have that pressure with your family, or it was just like you just realized bring us the same good wife and that's it?
I think, I don't know if we had that as strong, but I know that my mom always said, okay, it's best if you can marry from the same, tribe, because then you understand the culture more. But I think that it's not by fight, by force, but it's more of like, at the end of the day, as long as you're happy, and we see that you're happy, you're being treated well, you're happy in whatever you're doing, that's really what matters at the end of the day. So I think there's an aspect of, if you can marry from your culture, that would be great. But your happiness trumps all of that. And to an extent too, for us, so it's more of like, for me to, again, I never really dated. So Vivian was really that first one that I got home. But even before then, I told my parents that, hey, Mom, Dad, I need you to pray for me because I'm actually pursuing this woman. And that's when they asked, okay, where's she from? Okay, she's Cameroonian. Okay, but as God wills, but we'll be in prayers with you. So I think there was an aspect of they also knew what I was doing. And so when Vivian came, there was an aspect of, we've been praying for our son. So this is who he's bringing. And so then we just spend time and we just see if there's unity. So that was also another aspect. So it wasn't, you need to marry. That was there, but our children's happiness is the most important.
That's great. Did you face?
Yeah, mine was the opposite. My parents wanted me to marry a Cameroonian.
Okay.
Like a lot, and I had to be the one to be like, no, like they do the whole, this is my friend's son. I want you to meet him, and then he would come to the house with his auntie, whatever, for us to eat and see, And I will go on one date just to let me satisfy them, to say I tried. But deep down, I'm like, this is not for me. I don't know if arranged stuff are the best sometimes,
Yes.
So I had that pressure, and I had to tell my family no.
Yes.
And I had to do that multiple times, And I think the reason why I was able to do that is because I knew what I wanted, and I knew some of the things I was looking for. I wouldn't get in those relationships. Like I could just tell, you know, like the lifestyle I wanted, how I wanted to be treated, how I wanted to feel in a relationship wouldn't have been with those types of relationships. And I had to, because I had that sense of knowing, it was easier to say no, because I'm like, this is also my life. Like, I hear you and I respect you, but so I had the pressure and I had to tell them no. And now they're like, oh, good job.
So, what was the reaction when you were sent over to home? Yeah, home. And you say, hey,
So the funny thing is, before we were even like official, because we went to school in North Dakota, there's been 1 or 2 times where he had to get a ride from like where I was living. So he's come over twice. Yeah, before there was even anything. This was maybe like sophomore year. And in those 2 times, again, my grandma, she's always like, this became final, this became, you get good hats. So she's always said that. So I think they've always just liked him. Or I should say my grandma's always liked him, you know? And it was easy for everybody else to just get on board with them,
So like we can say that getting married was like easy process for you, or was it challenging at some point?
I would say again, for me, the challenge I had was from my family. His family was fine. Yeah, I think that because I'm like the first daughter, girl, like my dad's family had all these expectations. I was the first one to like get married. So they want to do all these things. They want to have all this say in the marriage, what to do, how to do it. And I'm like, people, like, just let me be. So my family, extended family, they stressed me out with what their expectations were. And I'm like, I didn't even get stressed from his side, you know? The only thing that they wanted was more of a cultural thing. Like, I had a V-neck dress and they wanted me to cover that. And I made many attempts to try, but it did not look good. I'm like, I'm sorry, mommy, I tried, but it doesn't look good, so I'm gonna have to wear it as it is, you know.
And you have to cover it, right? You have to cover that part, right?
Our at least how we grew up is more of like modesty was very key, and I think that and at first too, I think that was also something that caused a bit of just friction between us, between Vivian and myself. But I think, you know, I think being exposed to her culture and how people dress at parties, that was one thing. And then I think I also just saw how the dressing made her feel. So I think there was an aspect of like, you know, it's not by fire, by force. And sometimes I was just like, okay, Vivian, that's, you know, like, pull it up small, like, like, sometimes do that. But, you know, and it did take time. It took time, but I think at the end of the day, I think it's just more about, I think I just saw how he made her feel. So it's just more of just catering to just make sure that I'm not dampening her life or her spirits because of, we have to dress a certain way.
That makes me think, like, when you are dating someone, though, even the smallest things where you think it's not going to be a big deal, you better address it.
Yes,
because the little things become big. Like, even like, you don't know how to match. Let's figure that out while we're dating. Because when you get married, you think it's something small, but it expands like a lot. So.
I'll say, that's a good point. I'll say, like, marriage magnifies
everything.
Like your strengths, your flaws, everything. And I think that, if you can address, even if it's small, you know, if you can address it, at least come to some sort of mutual understanding.
Or agreement.
During dating, I think that really saves so much headache.
The smallest things. I'm even talking what you watch in the evenings together. Do you want to do it together? Do you want to do it separate? Where you like to relax for fun? Like, the little things, right? Because we talk about the big things.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody talks about the big things,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
But like the small things can like, it's your day-to-day life,
Yes.
you know? You want to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say that the purpose of addressing the small things is not to nitpick, but it's the purpose of moving forward. Exactly. And sometimes you may have to just kind of compromise, not at the detriment of your own values or your well-being, but it's more, okay, that's fine, you know, you like to listen to classical music, that's fine. We can do that once in a while, and then you can listen to Afrobeats or Afropop other times too. So, but the purpose is for the sake of moving forward, because now, two shall become one. You guys are one unit, and everything. Even if you have, at least for me, even if you have conflict, the purpose is to move forward. So,
Yes, wow. That's really interesting. And how, like, as you get married, you get like any other challenge that you feel like, oh, now we 8 years now, you're like, we get there.
Do we have challenges? It's kind of
Doing
the
like
marriage.
the first 5 years of your marriage, or you feel like it was just smooth and let's keep going. Yeah.
Something that comes to mind, and I think we kind of touched on it earlier, is like, how do we get to the same goals, right? So I think we both come into the relationship on our own, like individually, but we learn kind of early on, like if we want to make it far, we have to get on the same page. So like what we said earlier, he was more future oriented. And I'm like, let me just have fun and enjoy my day to day. So we had to figure out how can we merge those two worlds. That was hard for me, you know, like I don't want to sit there and go through a financial session for 2 hours. Like I need to include some fun to it. How can we make this more fun? You know, like, or just even like laid back, not too serious. You know, I need to be all serious about a lot of things. So, as much as I'm interested, I was just like, I can't do that. So it's hard to get on board with like, okay, this is our future, but how can we like execute in a way that's not making me feel like I'm not doing enough, you know, or I'm not showing up or being a good wife, you know? And the simple fix was how can we just make it more fun, you know? And we learned that years later, you know, after all the back and forth. I would say like trying to get on the same page was our like challenge.
Yeah, on some things, I think core things, I think we're generally on the same page. But I think I was
like how to execute those core things.
And I think that at least on my end, I think, you know, there's an aspect of you almost have to figure out ways to influence, you know, and she does a good job talking about what she wants or desires, and sometimes it's more, okay, fine, if she wants it to be fun, fine, how can we make it fun? Vivian, what would you like to do? Okay, let's go to a restaurant and talk about it there, because it's a nice atmosphere today, so I want to do it in the house, you know, so it's just like small fixes like that, and and many times it's really just communication at the end of the day, because you are coming as individuals and you're just really merging so many, like you're merging your whole worlds together. And so, like...
I was going to say what helped is that our goals are ultimately the same or very similar, but it's the how we execute it that is different. And that's where we had to get it to alignment with how do we work on your strength and how do we work on my strength so they can work together, you know, and complement each other.
So I would say that was a challenge.
Then I would say initially too, just figured out like the finances, right? Like who does what, how does that go? How do we, you know, manage, you know, the paying of the groceries? Because now you're bringing those two worlds together to be one home, right? So going through those conversations as well can be challenging, or was a little bit challenging in the beginning. And
I would say for me, it's more like, okay, you know, 5 years from now, what, like, I guess for me, the way I approached our marriage was, okay, you know, we like, what do you want to achieve in 5 years? How can we merge? Because, yeah, how can we merge it together? Because I know some relationships, it's more like the guy is the one achieving goals and the woman is just supporting.
Yes.
You know, and I think that was just something that was like, it was just more of just pulling out, like, okay, well, what do you want to accomplish in 5 years? Because I want us to be partners, you know, not just like, one is supporting the other, but like, let's like, okay, let's both have a vision, but then let's merge it, because then it creates more trajectory, you know. So that was something else that sticks out.
Yeah, and I have to applaud his leadership, right? And that's a quality that, you know, I do acknowledge and wanted in a partner, and he has and exhibits that. And I think people will do things early on that you kind of know who they are, right? I think a mistake sometimes we as women sometimes do is like, he's not my type, or he's not where he needs to be, you know, before we get together. But it's like, no, someone can show skills that shows that they can, you know, do those things, even if they might not be at that financial place they need to be today, right? Because I think if I was looking at relationships from that standpoint, we probably wouldn't be together, right? But there's beauty in building together, right? And growing together if we each already have those skills, you know? Yeah.
So, another question. My going to the end question was like, how like your spirituality was just like you both Christian and let's go, or how was your Christianity go from dating to your marriage and today? Yeah.
Oh, how did you find out that
God is involved in your relationship?
Yeah. I would say we were both, Christian backgrounds, so I think that helped a lot. And I think that when it came to finding a partner, I was looking for someone who would be Christ-like in the way they treated someone. So I would say his kindness, his gentleness, his wearing his heart on his sleeve, sacrificial. I'm like, he's Christ. He's, you know, like to me, you know, kind of thing. So I could see those fruits in him. And because of that, it also helped me wanting to be with him. And then we happened to sometimes go to a similar church when we were in college. And one time when we were starting to date, the pastor pulled us aside and I can't remember exactly word for word what he said, but he was like, you two are going to be great. You know, you may go through some things, but you're going to get through it and you're going to be, you know, great. And it was kind of like this, like almost like a confirmation kind of thing in terms of, you know, spiritual guidance, in terms of our relationship. But honestly, I feel like it was just this deep sense of knowing too. Yeah.
I think you answered it pretty well. I think the question is, you know, spirituality, how's that been from dating into marriage? I think that, when we're dating, at least for me, I know that, you know, again, the reason why I approached it was more of, you know, the Holy Spirit, God within me was more of like, you need to approach her because you know you're going to regret it. So many times, you know, there's unctions to make decisions. And even if the decision is very uncomfortable, there's a sense that I just have to do it because, you know, what comes from the disobedience of that is almost regret, you know. So now, as far as like for us, spiritually, I think, we went to the same church, so that was very helpful. And I think that for her too, she was quite, I said she's a grounded person. And so, and she leads with peace. That's her. I lead with, if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it. I make decisions from like the knowing that if I don't do this, I'm going to regret it. For her, she makes decisions from a sense of, this brings peace. I'm going to do that. And to me, that spoke as like, okay, well, this is Holy Spirit's confirmation about a decision, you know, from her standpoint. And then from our standpoint, it's more of from, okay, there's going to be regret with this. So now going into, and she said, the pastor did confirm And for me, it was more of, if you hear prophecies, I think for me it's usually confirmation because God has, my prayer is that God should have shown me so that if anybody tells me, it's more of just a confirmation in my spirit versus like, oh wow, I need to figure out how to make this work. So now going into marriage too, I think is also, again, going to the same church and we talk more about the sermon. We actually make plans as far as, okay, well, how can we apply this on a day-to-day basis? And the tricky part is as you become more busy, it's just you have to still find time to actually, one, your own spiritual journey. You have your spiritual journey with God. Like and you just have to make that time for you and God. And then both of you guys, you fellowship together, and then now as you become parents too, now it's like, well, how do you cultivate that within your kids? So
I will say something that I feel I've fallen into a bad habit is the idea that your husband is supposed to lead the spiritual home. And I think it's a good and a bad thing because I think it somehow also made me take a step back. I think initially being as an individual I was more like spiritual, prayerful kind of thing. And I took a step back with the notion like, okay, he's supposed to kind of lead. But it's like, no, like, what does that really mean? What does that really mean? Like, let's really have those conversations because I feel like then we're putting all these dependency on our husbands and our partners when it really should be our own individual thing to carry and, walk out. So that's something that I'm like, okay, as a wife and now as a mother, like I need to take this part of my spiritual life more seriously.
Yes.
Because I also need to cover and protect and pray for my family and my kids, and not just, okay, the man's supposed to lead everything, that's too much on that too. It's like, no, we can do that too. So
I really like what you said. It's like powerful. Sometimes we overthink the leading of the husband as spiritual leader, and then we take the step back and we feel like, okay, if he doesn't call me to pray, then we won't pray. If he doesn't wake up like a Bible verse, then we won't do it. No, we all together, it's good that, okay, he's showing that leadership, he's showing that example, but it's also seasonal. You can be, like you can be strong spiritually during this season, then your husband, and your husband also can be strong spiritually in the other season. So like, just work together and see like what works best for us during this season. Otherwise, you feel like, okay, I'll just step back and let him lead, but he's going through maybe a lot from work and stuff. And if you as a wife or as a woman, you don't like take the prayer life seriously, and you will even have the enemy attack at that moment. So I really like what you said.
That's a good point. And at least for me, I just know that it's your walk with God is personal.
It is, yes.
Like it really is very personal, and I think from there, then you're guided as far as like, okay, well, this is how you should lead, or this is how you should go. So, and for me, that's just fundamental. And then when you come together. Again, you come together and like you're guided by God as far as, okay, well, this is what we should do. And for me, I know I can get better with that because I know that, again, it's almost like a relationship. Like the more intimate you get, you just know that person more. But then if you don't communicate, that intimacy almost it lessens, and it's very similar as far as like, God is always around, but if you don't communicate, frequently, then, that level of intimacy, that level of guidance is not there. And so even within a marriage, like it's very easy just to like, okay, let's do a quick prayer. Well, thank you God for this word and just pray. Amen. But how do you do it just on a day-to-day basis? I think that's just, at least for me, that's what I'm just trying to get better at. At least, and I hope I'm pleasing in that way.
Well, on your own way.
Yeah.
Something we can both get better in.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Our spiritual growth is something we all like keep going with. So my last question, I don't know if you have one, is like, Vivian, how did you get to become like relationship coach? Like, is it from experience? Is it from just calling? How did you get that?
And was it before marriage?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
after maybe Sam like give you that inspired you something?
Yeah, no, you actually really nailed it. So when we were dating, he was very big on like what he said, like we should each have something that we're passionate about outside of just work. You know, I feel like he didn't believe like work should be like your end all be all. And I was like, but I'm helping people as a nurse and doing this and this. But he was like, there has to be something more outside of kind of your career. So then I was like, initially pissed, like, who are you to be telling me what I'm doing? That's not enough, and blah, 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 blah. But then I took it and I'm like, okay, let me sit with it. So I was doing all this research and like, what's your purpose? What's your passion? Da, 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 da. He would say I didn't really hear from him when he was telling me and I had to go do research. But that's how I can know like, okay, I'm making this decision for myself, you know, and not just somebody's telling me, so I just have to do it. So then I stumbled upon this video by Oprah, and I can't remember exactly what she said, but it was like your purpose will match your passion, something like that. And in that moment, it just clicked, right? Like I've always been the person where, like what he said, like I've always had this sense of knowing, and because of that, people would tend to come to me to work through things and work through, you know, whatever they're kind of dealing with. And I would always provide that counsel or support when they're going through things. And it just hit me, I'm like, I'm supposed to help people work through their different life circumstances, you know? And that's where I started that venture and then did more research. It became more focused on relationships because that's where I've had experience, you know, and experience growing up with different, you know, family dynamics, African relationship dynamics, and how it could be better. Like what he said, a lot of the things we do that's our tradition in marriage or relationships is sometimes not the best, but it's normalized under culture. That doesn't mean it's okay. So my goal is to help women particularly know who they are, heal, how to date healthy in a relationship, find healthy partners. And for those who do want to work on their relationships, how to do it in a healthy way for both couples.
Nice. Wow.
Very good.
That's great.
So it's a little bit about that. But yeah, and then I went back to school, did psychiatry and all that stuff. But yeah, so mental health grounded.
Yeah. Is like Sam involved into that, or you just it's mostly?
Yeah, no, he's in it. Yeah, he's involved. He's doing all the setup, the background. He's doing the editing and all that stuff. And so yeah, it's very much a team effort. And I'm like, thank you.
I'm supporting you.
I appreciate you.
That's nice. So,
I want him to do some videos with me, but he's camera shy.
That's man.
we did it
I think,
Because I think it's important to get a male perspective on topics, right? Because we will see things differently, a man will see things differently. So to be able to get both perspective can be helpful. So hopefully soon.
And that combination of the difference between you, that's the beauty of
hopefully soon, hopefully soon.
I'm seeing something off camera.
No, she's good at, she's good at, as far as just like being able to help people navigate situations. And I think for me, it's just more like, I'm just focused on just me just being better, and maybe I can contribute to others, but I think if I was to contribute, it's just more like through my being better. That's the way I feel like I contribute. But she's very good as far as just navigation. But yeah, who knows? Maybe the future, we'll see.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it went fast. I wish we could continue, but yeah, that was a really great conversation. Again, thank you, Vivian and Sam.
Thank you.
And I think at this point, my takeaway would be, first of all, as a man, it's to be consistent. It's not because they say, no, I'm focused on school or something, then you give up. No, I like the way you were like consistent, whatever. Even though she said now he was on my schedule, no, but look at today. Together, and you could make me speak French. It's beautiful. And I also like the fact that you say culture is good, but it's not always important.
Yeah.
That's even good for your real. I love it. And also communication. That's important. Communicating about the few things during your date's time. Because I think these days we've seen, it's not always like that, but we've seen people like not even dating for so long, and then they just jump to their marriage. And that's actually the issue is that they kind of like know each other when they're married, and then they end up to fight together. And then like today, the divorce is just the open door.
One step from everyone.
And can I add to that too?
Yeah, sure.
I think it's very important that like the best thing I did was to live by myself. Like the best thing I did was to know who I was, you know, because again, like marriage does magnify everything, unless you're very good at hiding something. But marriage does magnify everything. So if you can really spend time with yourself and really just cater to just, anything that you think you can do, because you have to be that person that is worthy of being in a relationship, not just because of, I was able to get her, but you have to be a person that is worthy of being in a relationship. Now, what does that look like? You know, can you be in a relationship with your own self? You know, I think that's just what it comes down to. But yeah, one is to know yourself, and then there's a communication part, but I think it's communication with the intent of moving towards some sort of goal. Because I can communicate and I'm just stuck in my own, like, I'm right, you're wrong, you know? And that's like, that's, you're communicating, but it's not,
how do you move forward?
How do you move forward? So I think fundamentally, is, know who you are, because marriage is going to magnify everything. And you have to be able to also take accountability. That's why I was like, you know, if I'm wrong, maybe in the moment, like, no, I'm not wrong, but trust me, I'll come back, you know what, I'm sorry. I was wrong that I did that. But like, accountability is also important, because, that's what I decided. So.
Any last words for
my last words. Well, I appreciate you guys. This was fun.
This was fun.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was fun. Let me see. Last words. I guess maybe to echo what he was saying, I think both of us, I would say, kind of knew who we were, you know, outside of a relationship, and then within a relationship merging each other. So take time to know who you are. Take time to unlearn things, because I had to unlearn things that I grew up with that I knew would not serve me in my relationship. And yes, the marriage did magnify that, but because I knew how certain things would turn out if I didn't change, and I would say you're not changing because of just this person or who you're with. You're changing for your own self, so that you are a better version, so that you can also make your marriage be better, right? So sometimes you have to unlearn things that your parents did and that you've seen everybody else do, so that you can have a successful relationship. So yeah, know yourself, be willing to unlearn things, and be willing to grow.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys. And first time when I see you guys together, I was like, wow, this is a nice couple. And get to know you was just one of my goals. I know we have I met Vivian, and then getting more from us was really nice.
Yeah.
More to come.
Yeah.
That's
we
awesome.
appreciate
Yeah, this is fun.
You can find me on Vibe with Viv, so that's VIVE with the Viv, and that stands for Vision, Inspiration, Believe, and Empowerment.
Oh,
With Viv, Vivian, so Viv.
Viv.
Yeah.
Nice.
On where?
Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's good.
And stay tuned for more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was a good catch.
Yeah.
I want to see how the end looks like.
Thank
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Appreciate that.